Ladies and gentlemen, I told you that I was going to put on a really big show for you people this week. That would be the week of this week, January 2nd, whatever it is. As soon as I got that stuff from Lazada, and I looked at my order from Lazada this morning, and they pushed back the 3 items that I ordered. Well, there were 5 items, 3 different orders. They pushed it back as much as 7 days. So it went from delivery date of January 9th to possibly January 16th. So I guess that's one of the tricks that they play. They'll tell you that they can have it in 3 to 5 business days. And then I ordered the stuff 9 days ago. It should have been here by tomorrow, but it's not going to be here. So what we got? But what I did do is the pieces of equipment that are coming from Lazada, they have to be dressed up, so to speak. So I went to the city a few days ago, about 4 days ago, and I ordered a special order of well, I showed you the material. I'm not going to. This is part of dressing up. This is part of dressing up the apparatus that's coming from Lazada. This is just one of the venues. And then we're gonna put names that are similar to the so-called men on YouTube, and we're gonna do things to the apparatus, and you're gonna see for yourselves what comedy truly is. So that's one of the things I wanted to share with you, that the apparatus that should have been here by the 9th, today's already the 7th, could be pushed back till the 16th. So you're going to have to wait for that. In the meantime, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you an update on buying what I call toys, but commercial equipment to do construction in the Philippines. And those pieces of equipment are going to be, number one, 2 different types of cement mixers. One is a gasoline-operated engine, and one is a diesel-operated engine. That's 2 different versions of the same type of product. The difference in rebar benders and prices, and where up until last night when I was speaking with Scott Del Fuego, I was going to have to order this stuff from Shanghai, China, or something similar to that. And that was where I had my back up against the wall. I had no choice. I've been trying to get this equipment for probably 4 weeks, since around December 15th. I started sending out serious inquiries. So it's already 3 weeks. And today, with the lead that Scott Del Fuego gave me yesterday, while I was on the phone with the owners of that corporation in the Philippines, somebody from China emailed me back for the first time in 3 weeks after sending out 35 applications. So it's really not easy getting stuff here in the Philippines. So we have the 2 different types of cement mixers, and a rebar bender and a rebar cutter. And I'll explain the differences to you as we go along. And then we'll get into the Jack Thompson betrayal thing, because that's going to be, I want a few people to be here when I tell that story. It's an amazing story. It's just hard to believe. So we got the next piece of equipment that I'm trying to order, that 2 stores in Bohol said they had in stock. And I went to the first store because that store was near a computer store that I had to pick up something from. And when I got there, they said, "Yes, sir, we have that. May I see it?" It's a lift. It's called a one bagger. A one bagger. One bagger for a construction man means you can take one bag of cement and mix it with the appropriate aggregate and sand and water. So it's a smaller cement mixer than the one I wanted. However, for the initial part of the job and for the stucco work and for the filling of the hollow blocks, the one bagger will work just fine. And people build bigger buildings than what I'm building with the one bagger. So I did want the other one because it had a built-in crane on it, but that didn't happen. So there's something called the one bagger lift, and what it is, it's a hopper. A hopper it's like a big cup, just a big metal cup, and the metal cup, I'm trying to get you something that looks like it. It's just a big metal cup, and it's on tracks like a ladder. And that has a cable that goes up to a shiv, SHIV, at the top of the tracks. And you can put as one bag of cement mixer. You can dump that into the one bag lift. So they work with each other. One bag cement mixer, one bag lift. And then you can just push a button and it will bring 2,000 pounds of concrete up as far as 47 feet. So that's more than enough to do what I needed to do. So that tool was supposed to be available at City Hardware, CITI Hardware, and it is, but when I called up City Hardware, they said, "Yes, sir, we have it in stock." And I called up the City Hardware in Tagbilaran near Palmer Street, Palma, Palmer Street. Well, it's not in that store. So the man there said, "We have it in the other store, sir." He called up. He said, "Yes, sir, we have it in the other store." This is this is the Philippines. They have it in the other store. So I still had to do my shopping at ICM, and I needed parts from ICM for other things. Plus, I was going to have lunch. So I go to the other store, and Juby, Jubi, Juby, was a man that sold me equipment, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and 4 years ago. So whatever I buy, apparently Juby is the man who puts his name as the working representative for City Hardware. And I made some videos with me and Juby, and even Daisy May is in some of the earlier videos. And he's a pretty cool dude. And we have a little song and dance routine that we do when we're in the store. And the other people in the background were going, "Juby, Juby, 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 Juby." And the people behind the counter were all dancing because they remember me, that's for sure. So I get to the manager. I don't know that I want to tell you the manager's name, but she was very nice, a very nice young lady. And I said, "Do you have this product?" She goes, "Yes, sir." I said, "May I see it?" "Yes, sir." So you may or may not believe what I'm about to tell you, but everybody seemed to have been having problems on the internet yesterday, wherever I went. Well, her internet for the City Hardware store was down. So she took out a brochure and showed me the item, and I know the item well. There are different versions of the item, but that version, that exact model, that make and that model number, I looked at in Cebu 2 years ago. And the price of that unit in Cebu comes packed up, banded, it looks like a crate. It's 12 feet long. It's about 3 feet wide, and it's probably 24 inches high. And it's all banded together. And in that package are four 12-foot sections of what, let's just call it lifting ladder. And then there's a 5-foot section of lifting ladder on the motor section, which is separate section. And the motor has a drum on it with 120 feet of cable. So she shows me the brochure. I know the number, and the price didn't change at all from the price from 2 years ago. That was really surprising. That unit costs 120,000 pesos for anybody that's interested. However, the computers never came back up, and she just showed me a picture of the unit, but I know what it looks like. So I said, okay, if that's available, when can we have that delivered? Oh, sir, I will have to call up. That woman spent every bit of, I would say, 20 minutes of making phone calls to her suppliers, wherever they are. One is in Davao. They have the unit in stock, but they can't ship it. Another one is in Manila, who doesn't have the unit in stock. And Manila is waiting from an order for China that they don't know when another order from China at all for anything for that company, for that corporate headquarters. They don't even know when and if another order is going to be possible. So there's no guess to that. Now, I mention that because I've spoken with 3 suppliers located throughout the Philippines, and each of the suppliers were the owners of the companies that sell the equipment. None of them have access for more supply or stock. None of them. None of the 3. What is in stock is all that will be available until commerce opens up. There is no shipping of commercial goods to the Philippines unless it has to do with medicine, or foods, or absolutely like products that are absolutely needed. Maybe some things that I'm not familiar with, but no shipping to the Philippines from China of anything for commercial grade tools and equipment. And they don't know when it's going to open up. And they're not even making a guess at 6 months to a year. They're not even sure if it's going to happen in a year. So that falls in line with, again, with what the medical technician I spent the morning of New Year's with, where she said international travel into the Philippines probably would not be possible until after 2022, and possibly as far as into 2022, as possibly April or May. That was what the medical field felt there would be a working vaccination. Now, that's from her opinion, that's from her laboratory, that's where she works, but she seemed to think that 2022, somewhere in March or April, maybe international travel into the Philippines will be allowed. Now, you can leave the Philippines, but only under certain conditions can you get back into the Philippines. And I don't know what all of those qualifications are, but one of them is that you have to be married. Another one would be a law enforcement. You can leave and come back on official business. And and third one would have been doctors to go and help people in other countries because of the pandemic. So only certain people are allowed to leave the Philippines and come back. And those are the 3 that I know of personally. So So we have the cement mixers, gasoline and diesel. There are different places. I had to also go to a company called Tire Queen to buy a commercial grade battery. They used to have a commercial cement mixer in the front of the building, and they still do, but they used to have stock. And the woman told me yesterday that there were only one or two left. And I asked her what the price was for the one bag. One bag. They're all one bag or mixer. And she said that as of now, so they're 66,000 pesos. Well, that's not really, it's not a lot of money. It's $1,200, but it's 1,266,000. 60,000 is $1,200, and 6,000 is $1,320 for that cement mixer. However, it went up in price from 2 years ago from 58,000. So it's almost 15% increase. That was the only store that the increase went up. I think because they have stock and they don't think anybody else does. City Hardware has no cement mixers. Neither store has a cement mixer. So as soon as City Hardware ran out of cement mixers, it seems to me that Tire Queen raised their price 15%, not knowing that the Fazio is going to find another supplier. So to get the lift, here's what they want. They cannot get, City Hardware as of yesterday cannot get a cement mixer. So don't go to City Hardware looking for a one bagger. I think they have smaller ones. The lift, she's going to find out, but she was thinking somewhere between 30 and 90 days for a pre-order. And that would be with a 100,000 peso deposit. A 60,000 peso deposit. The machine is 120. And I couldn't get her to say, if the machine didn't come in 60 days, would I get my deposit back? She said to me, that's a corporate decision. Probably is. But it wouldn't be a decision I would leave up to their corporate headquarters to let you know if you could get your money back in 60 days. I'll just wait for them to become available. The cement mixer, no, at City Hardware, and basically the lift is only a possibility. However, the rebar bender from China, I'm done with that. I'm done with correspondence to China. You give them all your information, everything. This is through Alibaba Heavy Equipment and Tool Sales. You give them your name, your phone number, your email address. You give them the designated number for the machine. You give them how many pieces you want, one piece. You give them your shipping address. You give them everything there is to know. I mean, I have it written down in a document, and they send you back an email through their Alibaba communications. Sir, you want one piece? It's written down, one piece. One, in brackets, piece, Piece, and CL32. One piece. You say yes. Sir, where do you live? Well, I just sent you that pertinent information. That is frustrating, and that is standard procedure. When you're dealing with somebody in China, it's as if they don't believe the information you gave them. So, through Scott's lead yesterday, now this is important. This is really important because You're not going to believe it. Of course, people don't believe most of what I say, and who cares? I got to tell you, I don't care. I never cared, and I'm never going to care. I have been researching rebar cutters and rebar bending dual purpose machines for 2 years. 2 years. And I have found them all over the internet in China. Never has a search resulted in an end search in the Philippines. Never. No way you can search rebar bender. No way you could search rebar cutter bender combination tool. Philippines just doesn't show up. And if it does show up, it shows up with the name of the company and an email address that doesn't work. It just comes back error. Comes up with phone numbers that don't work at all. So there's a company that sells the tool but has no email address or phone number to contact them with. And if you try to fill out the communications chart that they have for you, it won't highlight. That's what happens in the Philippines. So when Scott gives me this heads up on the machine, I called up this morning, and a woman answers the phone. Her name is Rich, R-I-C-H. And I asked her about the equipment, and she said, yes, sir. She knew all about the equipment. It's in stock, how much, exactly what it should cost. So right now, it's just a question of making sure the equipment is actually physically in her warehouse, because she was at her house and the warehouse is someplace else. So the rebar bender is a 2-in-1 machine. I'll show that to you. Hold on. I'll show you what it looks like, what it does, and why I want the 2-in-1 machine. So this part of the machine is the cutter section. And this is a satellite. It's called I would call it a satellite on the side of the machine. Now this machine is the small one. It's not in stock. It'll cut rebar 25 millimeter bender and rebar cutter. 25 millimeters is just close to an inch, within a few hundredths of an inch. So this one cuts up to 1 inch rebar and bends, and that one is 130,000 pesos. That's not in stock, but there's a bigger one in stock with the cutter on the side, with the satellite cutter. And this is the top of the machine. And this will bend. This is the 25 millimeter rebar bender, but the one that's in stock is the 32. And the 32 rebar bender will bend up to 1 1/4 inch, or what we call 5/4. It would be number 10 bar. So this one will bend or cut up to number 10 bar. And the way that works is you put the bars in what was called the rigging up on top here, and you push one of these foot pedals. Now this machine that you see has 2 foot pedals, but the one that has the satellite rebar cutter on the side has 3 foot pedals. There's an additional foot pedal. It's not shown here. I don't know why. It's just the way they have their website. So this machine is around 200,000 pesos, or $4,000. And that's delivered. So that machine, they're checking now the warehouse. And there's I have another document open here. Let's see if I can show this to you. Here is the 3 pedals that I talked about, the 3 foot pedals. The 3rd pedal is for the cutter. And this is the machine Here is the dimensions, and this is the 32 millimeter cutting one. Here's, it shows you 32 millimeter right here. So this is the machine. Maximum bending, it's 1.25 inches maximum, 3/8 of an inch is the smallest, and it's 220 volts. Now, if you're buying equipment here in the Philippines, I want to tell you something about this heavy equipment. Some of the stuff from China said 380 or 440 volts. That's a problem. That's a major, major problem in the Philippines. One of the rebars that I ordered or pre-ordered a while back, about a year and a half ago, it had the rebar bender and cutter, and it was shippable from someplace in Manila to Bohol, or you could go buy it and bring it back with you. This is important for anybody buying heavy equipment that's operated on voltage. If it says 380 or 440, what you need to do is you need to talk to the representative for the company and see if they can change the wiring in the motor to make it work with 220. Because if they cannot, here is what I would have had to do had I bought that machine without checking to see if the wiring that controls the motor assembly, how much voltage goes into the brushes and the magnets, to put it simple. If that wiring, a lot of times it can be changed from 110 to 220, or from 220 to 110, or from 220 to 380 to 440. Those are different voltages that machinery runs on. So they have 380 and 440 available if you want it here. However, it'll cost you more to have it installed than the machine costs, a lot more. So I'll go over that. I'll recap that right now, so that anybody that has a big project going on, you need to make sure the wiring can be rewired, reconfigured to 220. If you don't, and I would have ordered that machine, Bahico Electric came right straight to the house, probably 3 hours after I talked to them about it, with their surveyor, the person that knows about putting in poles and stuff like that. And they came and said, well, we can put a pole. Now, for me, this is for me, but you're not gonna believe how this works in the Philippines. So let's say I needed 380. So now, or 440. Now Michael Fazio, has to pay Bahico Electric to put a pole next to my property. That was 180,000 pesos. That's $4,000 with the transformers on the pole. So there were 2 transformers for like 135,000 pesos each. It was 120,000 pesos. It was $4,000 to put the pole and the 2 transformers, plus a certain amount of electrical wire from the main road. So it would have cost about $5,000 to put the pole with the transformers next to my property, if I would have bought that machine and then wanted to use it, because no one else can use it. That's not the bad part about this. So when I said to the guy, well, I don't want to do that, I'll just cancel the equipment, he said, okay. He understood. So I said to him, but if I did that, let's say I bought other equipment rated at 440 or 380, because originally I wanted to have a compressor, that filled up dive tanks as one of the downstairs units. So he said, you could do that, sir, but you're going to have to understand that if someone else builds a building next door, and they are building a building next door, and they decide to use the power from the transformers, they can use your transformers and they don't pay anything. And if there's not enough transformers, then the two of you will have to buy new transformers, put another pole in. I swear, where do you come up with these rules? Anyway, that was just something that I never did. But so that's the machine. This is the specifications. And here is the price, 185,000 pesos. And that needs to, you need to add another 200 US dollars for shipping. So it's just over $4,000 for that machine. So we covered that. And let me see, let me go back to my notes. And we're going to get to the Jack Thompson incident shortly. The stuff I ordered from Lazada, you know, the stuff from Lazada is not here yet, but the things that go on the Lazada apparatus, these things here, these little decals, these are ready. I ordered an entire square meter of these emblems here. Let me get to my live stream. I ordered an entire square meter, multiple of this and multiple of several others, because they're not going to last very long. What I'm going to do to them won't last very long. And we're going to put like little names next to them and maybe pictures, I'll just draw a little picture. And we're going to put Jack Thompson is in the house. I hope he's not mad, because we talked about this the other day, Jack. When New Year's Eve, when I was at the party, Jack and I were talking, and he told me a story. Adirondack, New York, you know nothing. You know nothing about concrete construction, so I'll explain it to you. Not that what your idea is perfect. What your idea works. Your idea is even used in the Philippines, but you are not allowed to bend rebar with a torch. It reduces the strength of the rebar so much, it takes away 60% of the rebar's integral strength. I've seen people do it and then paint the rebar so the inspectors can't see it, but I guess you just don't know much about construction. You can't do that. It has to be bent cold. It's called a cold bend. But people do it, but I would not do that. What's the point? You're taking away 60% of your column structure. Anybody out there, like the little half a man in Subic Bay that thinks I don't know about construction. Maybe he wants to correct something that I say. Considering he doesn't know the difference between a bulldozer and a backhoe, or a bobcat, or a jackhammer and a needle scale, maybe he's here and he wants to correct something. I doubt that, though, because basically from what I gather about the man's understanding about construction is he's a fucking idiot, and not much more than a fucking idiot. But we'll deal with him on a different day. So that covers, let me go back to my notes. Computers. Let's see. We're on computers now. You know, I haven't been able to buy a computer, and the computer I wish to buy is still not available. In other words, the Asus i9. There are none available. Now, if you go to Lazada, you're going to see an Asus i9 on different days. I think it's just clickbait. It's the Asus i9, but it doesn't have the 4000 resolution screen, or it doesn't say it. It doesn't come with the pencil that you draw on the screen with. It has the 1 terabyte, but it does not have, it has 3 gigs of memory. And the one that I've tried to order, I think it has 8 gigs of memory. So whatever it is, it's like a watered down version of the real specifications for the Asus i9. And the original Asus i9 from Thinking Tools in the ICM Mall, it was 200,000 pesos. Now it's 189, but they can't get it. The Asus i9 that you see on Lazada is 225,000 pesos without the pencil for drawing on the screen, with only 3 gigs of memory. And there was one other thing, I forgot what it was. And I tried to follow through to buy it, and then it tells you that this unit is not available. So I think it's just clickbait. Now, there is something else. I know that no one else is going to order that piece of equipment. I know that for a fact. But if you do think that you're going to buy that from America, there's another product called an Asus i9 Super something, and it doesn't have 1 terabyte of hard drive. It has 3 terabytes of hard drive. It is not an Asus factory built product. It has no warranty except in America from the company that sells it. There is nobody else that even has the parts to fix it in the Philippines. In other words, the Asus repair store, and I'll tell you where that is. It's on Palma, Palma, Palma Street in Tagbilaran City, Palma, Palma, Palma Street, and then that's a side street of the main road, which is Charlie Papa Golf Avenue. It's the main road. So when you get to Palma Street, stop. You'll see the college on one side of the street. You go the opposite direction, and you walk down 4 doors, and you'll see a store. You could walk by it 6 times. You could drive by it on your tricycle 8 times. You could miss that store. You would think they would put a sign up that says Asus, but they don't. What is the name of the store? Infinite Protect Asus Service Center. Infinite Protect Asus Service Center. Here's the telephone number. Okay, there's a landline. Let's see if we get this. And that's the name, Infinite Protect. I'll read the number. It's 411-1349 or 544-5437. Now, this company, just to give you an idea what's going on here in the Philippines, this company used to have, it was a thriving business. It took up the whole 2nd floor of the building. Probably somewhere between 7 and 10 people were working feverishly to fix Asus computers. It has been reduced to 1 technician and 2 secretaries. And there was nobody in the store except myself. And they don't sell computers, they only repair computers. So that's for computer repair. And I wanted my brick that charges my computer, I was having a problem with it. I wanted to buy a new one, and I wanted to have them look at my computer for the USB drives the USB ports, no longer available. Whatever those ports look like, or whatever they were, those ports are no longer available. So I'm going to have to work with this until it fails, and that's it. It's done. So the next store I went to buy the brick, the recharging brick, was Computer Republic. And they had a brick. It's called the Universal Charger for computers. They had a brick. I'll just call it a brick because that's what it looks like. I'll try not to move too much shit over here, but this is what it looks like. Asus. It's a little charging unit. It's about 4 inches long, 2 inches wide, and 1 3/8 deep. They had one. It wasn't even 1/3 the size of this. 1/3. Now, I know how hot this gets. It gets hot. Electronic equipment can get hot enough to where if you can't put your hand on it, it's too hot. But their brick was 1/3 the size, and it still has to put that much power out for my computer. I don't think it would have lasted, and the price was, get this. Wait, you're not going to believe this. Computer Republic fixes computers. So they used to have about 100 different computers in their store. They had, like, it's a relatively big store for a computer store, and they just had computers just lined up everywhere. And there was probably 100 different makes and models. Now they have one model. N as in November, Echo, and C as in Charlie. NEC. Nothing else. Nothing else. And they only have 3 versions of that nothing else. And they're all i3 units. And they all are 24 to 30,000 pesos for an i3. So I wasn't in there for a computer. I was in there for the brick. And the brick was 1/3 the size of the one I just showed you. And I said, how much is it? He said, so it's 2,200 pesos, or $44. I said, well, you know what? I'll buy it. I don't think it's going to last, but if I needed it because this one was on the fritz. Which now, I'm talking about being on the fritz. Wait till we get to the Jack Thompson story. Something was on the fritz with Jack. Not necessarily. Yeah. Well, anyway, we'll get to that in a moment. So he said, sir, there's one problem. Why is there always a problem? What's the problem? So the pin is different, the plug. So I said, well, just change it. So we cannot do that. I says, you're a computer repair. Yes, sir. You have soldering guns and, tools, and yes, sir. So take the pin off of my unit and put it on the new unit. No, sir, we cannot do that. I said, why not? He said, we're not allowed to do that. We can only sell the unit. But you can do that. The computer, the brick, my brick wasn't working at the time. And I said, well, you know what? Now I'll just hit it. I'll just bang it on something, see it hard enough, and see if it'll go back on. It worked once before. I hit it with a little hammer, and it worked. And now it worked for 5 months. And now it's back on again. I hit it with the same hammer. I'm like an electrical genius. So I'm not kidding you. Because they have contacts inside. They must have some sort of contacts, and there might be some sort of corrosion. I only hit it with a hammer the first time because I wanted to see what was inside it. Figured if it doesn't work, I might as well just break it open and see why it doesn't work. I'll test it with some equipment. But it worked. So yesterday I took it home and I said, well, I'll just try that again. And if it opens up, then I'll know why it doesn't work. But it worked anyway. So now it's working. So the computer stuff is not possible. Jack, Jack. I don't. Jack, you and I talked about this New Year's. Before we talked about this. I'm telling that story, Jack. Sorry about that. So we have what we have going here is, let me go back to my notes and cover the next topic. So, this is the good news. So now I go to buy, I have to buy plywood for the forms, right? For these people. The prices of materials have gone through the roof. Theoretically speaking, on an individual piecemeal, the prices are only up 50% from last, not 50%, 50%, 44%. So for a sheet of plywood that was 980 pesos 3 years ago, that Chinese junk plywood, how much is it now? 1470. 500 pesos more. That's 50%, by the way. Yeah, it went up 50% for a sheet of plywood. And the quality, same plywood, same shit quality. So, but you don't have a choice. And that's all they sell here. They don't, they have a new gimmick. They have a new gimmick. Excuse me, I made a mistake. The Chinese plywood went from 970. I got it right here. Why am I doing it? The Chinese plywood went from 970 to 1,150. Here it is, right here. You see this number here? This is 2,300 pesos for 2 sheets. It's just something I have to make before I start building forms. I have to finish something else. So it's 2,300 pesos for 2 sheets. So that went up 170 pesos. 170 in 1 year. So it went up 20%. They got a new gimmick now. I was beside myself. So I said to the woman, do you have concrete form plywood? Sir, we have plywood, marine plywood or local plywood. I want concrete, plastic coated, if possible, 9-ply, laminated with plastic in between plywood. And I know what they cost in America. It's about $100 a sheet. Sir, we have local plywood. We have marine plywood. I said, no, this one is like it has a plastic coating. Oh, sir, hold on. So she goes and grabs another lady, and that lady knew more about plywood than she did. She probably was new. And the lady says, sir, we have phenolic plywood. Phenolic. 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 I think I wrote it down. I wrote it down on another piece of paper. So, phenolic plywood. So, what phenolic is to that douchebag in Subic Bay that says I don't know anything about construction, what phenolic plywood is what it is. What it says it is what it's not. What it's not is not what it says it is, and what they tell you it is not what they say it is. Phenolic is a kind of resin. It's a compound. It's a compounded resin. It's a hard compound resin. It's like fiberglass. That would have been phenolic plywood, 9-ply, in 1960, we got 1,000 sheets off the Verrazano Bridge job. My dad did, and we built the extension on our house with it, and one of my uncles built an entire house with that stuff. It never rotted, can't rot, bugs can't get to it, and I pulled 10,000 nails a month out of that plywood. It was the forms from the Verrazano Bridge. So phenolic resin is a kind of plastic resin or compound that they put in between, and they pressurize it into the ends of they use it to laminate the plywood together with under pressure, and they squeeze all of that stuff together so it becomes part of the fiber of the wood. So I said, how much is that? And that plywood that's the 1470, 1,000. So that's $30 a sheet. So I said, where can I see that? She says, it's in the warehouse. So I have to go to the warehouse anyway to buy. There's equipment there that I wanted to see in the showroom, I was told. So I go there and I pick up my plywood with my personal tricycle driver, which is a guy that you pay him 100 pesos an hour and he goes wherever you want. So I had him for the day yesterday. And we made an agreement sometime in the early afternoon to just take me to all the trips that I had to take. And then and I use him because he has a rack on top of his tricycle that you could put. He's got a strong tricycle. You put 4 or 5 sheets up there, but I only needed 2. So I go to the warehouse. Now you got to understand, I know there's 60 people on the property. I know most of the men over the course of the last 7 years. Tomorrow will be 7 years I left America. So these guys are all construction guys and all truck drivers, water truck drivers, backhoe drivers, bobcat drivers, jackhammer drivers. They're all guys that I know from locally. So I walk into the yard and most everybody said hello, but also you should understand most Filipinos don't speak English. That's people that go to school. These are just construction workers. They have very little understanding of English. So I said to I'm not going to mention the foreman's name. I said to the foreman, hey, how you doing? He says, hello, Michael. He could speak a little English. I said, where is the phenolic resin plywood? And we had to go to the plywood section, and he showed it to me. It's just the same garbage China plywood made in China, but it has a black, what is it? What's the name of that stuff? Hold on, I'll get you a bucket of it. I'll show it to you. It has this stuff on it. Well, this is called flint coat, Flint. This is a type of phenolic resin. It's for waterproofing different things. And I bought that for a separate project. So it's now this stuff is not painted onto the plywood. It's sprayed on at the factory, but it's only just sprayed over the garbage Chinese plywood. And that's all you can buy here in the Philippines. They call it marine plywood, marine grade, but it has voids in it, little holes in the plywood where water can move around and go through it. It's a trip living here to buy things. So they're telling you it's a better grade, and it actually is. It will cost you a fortune in time and materials to put that stuff on the plywood, but it's an additional $10 per sheet, and it's going to cost you that much to put it on the plywood anyway. So, but it's not construction grade phenolic resin concrete plywood that you'd buy in America. And also, that stuff is available, that plastic coated plywood, but not here. No one here in Panglao or the whole area has it. So it's not easy to get. They have it in Cebu, but when I went to Cebu and they told me they had it, I was going to bring back 40 or 50 sheets of it. This was a year and a half, just before the lockdown. Well, turns out they have it, but they didn't have it in stock. And it wouldn't be in stock for many months, and I left. So it's a trip living here. Let me go to see what we got here. Boss Hog. How about you put some money where your mouth is, Boss Hog? How about you put some money where your mouth is? A lot of money, not a little bit of money. Why you come here and troll my channel, Boss Hog? What have you done for a living? Andrew Steinmetz is in the house. Welcome, Andrew. Andrew and I were on Skype last night. Andrew was putting together a new computer table. Hello, Andrew. So, yeah, so Boss Hog, how much money do you have? How much money do you want to lose? And or just keep it simple and shut up and pay attention and learn something. So, that to the douchebag in Subic Bay. I have 11 federal and state licenses, and you don't know the difference between a backhoe, a bobcat, and a bulldozer. And you're on there telling people, he doesn't know anything. You are a first-class, atypical douchebag troll. Little man, another little man. The only difference between you and the other little fella is your teeth, for the time being, in your videos, appear to be horizontal. But that's about the only difference between you and the other little men. You both have big mouths. Neither one of you can back up what you say when you call me a liar. And now Boss Hog is in on the deal. So let me go back to my notes. Okay, please, Spry, have you talked to William lately? Who is William? I'm not real sure who William is. Want to elaborate on that? I don't even know who Rickshaw Philippines is. Never saw his channel. I've no wish, want, or desire to move into another channel. Harriet, you are the world's greatest troll. You are everywhere, and you are a duplistic, two-faced troll. Just to begin with. So keep it clean, and you'll be allowed to stay here. Otherwise, I will remove you myself. I've seen some of the comments that you leave on other people's pages. You are one of those people that your brain flows in the wind. Okay, back to the notes. Got the wrong email address. I got you that the lift is in Davao, but so far I didn't receive an email saying that they could get the lift. But of course, she said she'd email me, but of course I'm going to have to call her up. Batteries, commercial battery prices for trucks and heavy equipment. The prices are normal. They're very normal. A 60 battery, which Boss Hog should be able to explain, or the other little douchebag in Subic Bay, he should know right off the top of his head what a 60 battery is and how many plates a commercial grade 60 battery has in it. So if you don't know what a 60 battery is, research douchebag Subic Bay, know nothing, and ask him how many plates are in a commercial grade 60 battery, and he should be able to tell you. Apparently he knows a lot of things about nothing. So The battery prices are up 8% from 2 years ago, which is acceptable. However, if you bring your old battery to any of the automotive suppliers or commercial battery suppliers, they won't take it anymore. They won't give you it's usually 700 pesos, $7. 700 pesos, $14 for a return. They won't give that to you anymore. So yesterday I humped that battery into the city. I took a tricycle, humped it into the city with another tool that they said they could repair. And when I got there, they could not repair the tool. Those parts, they repair that tool. That's part of their job description at Tire Queen. But those parts are no longer available because of the lockdown. So I humped the tool and the battery into the city, cleaned it up, got it from the machine, put it in the tricycle, cleaned it up between then and then, brought it to the city, and they don't return. So I had to bring it home with me. And if you were going to sell it to a junk guy, the guys that come up and down the block, they're probably the best price they could get from a junkyard might be 450, 500 pesos. So they're going to give you $4 for it. So I'll just wait and trade it in when batteries are able to go back to China, the used batteries. And I'm going to do a dissertation on charging batteries and what can happen if you make a mistake when you're charging a battery. I'll even go into how to jumpstart a battery that seemingly is no good and how to revive it. They call it reviving it back to life. You got to have the tool to do it, which is a heavy-duty battery charging, 200 amp plus battery charger. You have to cook the battery, C-O-O-C-K, cook the battery, and it works. And it works for several months. But I didn't want to cook it because it was not usable anymore when I got it out of the machine. So there wasn't anything to cook. So moving on, battery prices are up 8%, but there's no return. So don't bother bringing your battery to any battery shop. They have no return. Okay, so I think I got all that covered in those notes. Now, Andrew asked Boss Hog, what have you done for a living? All right, Harriet is trolling. You're a good troll, Harriet. We love you. So now we have to talk about the Jack Thompson. I don't know. Is Jack here still? Jack got pretty drunk New Year's Eve. He got pretty monkeyed up. And he told me this story. Jack, are you there? Maybe you should go someplace else, like over to the Bellevue or something like that. So, the Hennon has a nice lunch. I don't see Jack here, so I guess I could tell the story without getting interrupted. All right, so Jack and I go back a long way, a lot longer than most people understand. And we're both in the construction industry. We've been in the construction all our lives. And when you're part of for the short time I was in the Dock Builders Union, only because I rented one of my barges to the Dock Builders Union. And I wanted to see what it was like to be in the union, because it was good wages in 1990. There wasn't much work for my barge. And plus, they wanted to rent the barge from me for quite a long time, which they did. I'm here. I'm moving on to this, Jack. You shouldn't have spilled the beans. Now I'm going to spill the beans. So what happens in the construction industry, if you were outside, if you're a man, not like that little douchebag in Subic Bay, that man probably never put a decent man's day's wages or work on a construction. Well, he's an idiot when it comes to construction. So we know that never happened. Anyway, what you get sometimes on a rain day or a snow day, a blizzard, you'll get 2 hours. You'll go to work. You got to get, we start at 7. Dock builders start at 7. And we work till 3. That's a typical day. And if it starts to rain really, really hard, that's probably not going to stop us. They give you rain gear. But if it's really cold and raining or snowing, you're going to say, okay, let's go into the shanty. And that's rare. That's rare. You don't get a lot of days where we are men. We're not sissies or girly men or half men that live in Subic Bay. We're not like that at all. We work out in the snow. We work out in a blizzard. I walked steel. I monked up on 90-foot sheets in 10-degree weather for 4 hours. You go up from one sheet to another and you monkey over from one sheet to another. You get on the headache wall. You ride the ball over to the next sheet, or you just climb up and down. No safety harness. So you get 2 hours. If it's really bad weather, inclement weather, you can go sit in the shanty, and in the shanty is usually a stove and a refrigerator and a little music radio. So the company puts shit like that together, and they just move it from one job to another. So I'm in the shanty. I've been in the shanty a few times. Well, everybody's just telling stories. Well, what happened was Jack, different job. We didn't work in the same union. But Jack was also in the shanty one day, a different type of shanty, different. He was in Boston, I'm in New York. And what happened, there was the weather was really bad. And he went home. They sent everybody home. Now, what happens is you get there at 7, say you work until 9:30, and then they put you in the shanty. They give you 2 hours. And after 2 hours, if the weather's still bad, they send everybody home. So Jack went home early. And when he got home, he saw a car that he didn't recognize in front of his house. And when he went into the house, he just went home early. Found his wife in bed with another man, a black man. And I thought I knew Jack better than this, but he got upset. Apparently he got upset, but what he did, instead of what most people would think that you would do if you found your wife in bed with a black man, what he did was he went back out into the living room and busted up the big screen TV. So I kind of lost a lot of respect for Jack at that point. I mean, we're still friends and we goof around a lot, but I would have thought he would have handled it differently. I would have thought he handled it differently. But apparently Jack is a much more peaceful and serene, I wouldn't call him godlike, but, he has restraint. Let's call it restraint. And naturally, after that, he got, within the next 4 or 5 years, he got divorced because apparently it happened again and again. And he kept telling his wife, if this shit happens again, I'm gonna get divorced. And he every time he came home from work early, he had the big surprise going on, and it was going on. Jack said the guy's name was Bubba, something like that. I didn't swear anything. Our friendship is over. Jack, our friendship was over when you molded me out. Our friendship was over when you molded me out. When you became the black mole. Because I'm getting emails that you are the mole. So probably our friendship was over a week or so ago. You just didn't know it. So there, and I want, and while we're talking about moles, I think I'm going to have to leave another subject for another day, but Jesus Christ, what a revelation, says Harriet. There she is. There he is. There it is. Digs, Harriet. Are you digging, Jack? So maybe Jack is a Black Lives Matter supporter. I was thinking along the same lines. Maybe he's a closet Democrat, Harriet. Worse than that, he's a Democratic member of the Democratic Society. Worse than that. You know how those Democrats are. So, yeah, Jack, I got a mail from I got mail from two different bloggers this week with no proof, but they're both trying to say that Jack is the original mole. And I still have a trouble with that because there's some things that Jack just didn't have information privy to. Now, I don't even know that the story that Jack told was true. He might have embellished that when he came home early, there was a black man in bed with his wife, or he may have left out half the story. He may have been too embarrassed to say there was two black men in bed with his wife. Jack is like that, he tries to make himself look good under all circumstances. So I'm not real sure if that story is true at all. All I know is that that's what Jack told me, and he told me don't tell anybody, and he was all monkeyed up New Year's Eve. I didn't even think he remembered telling me the story, but he remembers now. He remembers now, and now I got to deal with that shit later on. I get him a hanky and some popcorn. So, if you have any questions, Jack is there now. You could ask Jack how many years this went on before he divorced his wife. He said it was quite a while. He just kept giving her, second and tertiary and chances. But you would have thought that once was enough. But like Harriet said, he might be a Democrat. You would have, I was going to mention that, but I don't want to hurt Jack's feelings, Harriet. I would have thought the same thing. He could have got in with that shit. He could have jumped in. Could have. I guess Jack is not as boisterous. Maybe Jack's a voyeur. Jack Thompson could be a voyeur. He could be. What did you kick? You said you kicked the big screen TV. So that's different than a television. What is it that you kicked? And Harriet brings up a good point. How long were you watching before you went into the living room to kick the big screen TV? See, that's Jack might have been sitting there watching for a while. You never know. You don't know what goes on inside the bedroom of another man's bedroom. Usually you don't know, and that's probably a good thing. I mean, just picture this. Most men have vivid imaginations. So, but they don't, nobody I know has an imagination. You might have a vivid imagination if you see Flying Circus has a video out called MM Sleuth Garden, I think it is, MM. Now that girl is really, 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 really pretty. So you might imagine, a relationship, however brief, with her. That would be normal. But you wouldn't imagine getting involved with a third or fourth party, as a third or fourth party in your own house. So, well, Jack might have been videotaping it too. You don't know. You don't know about these things, folks. You just don't know. Jack could be a voyeur, and his wife was just doing this for his pleasure. Multiple times, multiple occasions, she might have just said, damn, my husband loves this. Jackie's just eating this up. Maybe. Andrew's got a good point there. It could have been on the BBC. I don't know. Next time. Uh-oh. I could see troll. I see troll already. I seen this guy around here. Okay. Mr. Fazio. Whenever anybody comes on and says Mr. Fazio, we know they're trolling. This is Bottiglia's personal consigliere. This is Mr. Bottiglia, personal consigliere. Consigliere is a mouthpiece. If you have a corporation and the corporation wants to do business with a fictitious enemy, so to speak, you have to send over a representative to speak for your company before the two corporate heads will meet, or if they're ever going to meet at all. You send over a third party. It's the messenger. A consigliere is the messenger between two parties that don't want to meet face to face. So we know this guy's a troll already. This is Mr. Battaglia. Ah, a Battaglia. Oh boy. Sounds like something that would be perforated with hemorrhoids. Regretfully, I'm required by law to inform you that my client, Mr. Battaglia, is suffering from a variety of rare mental disorders. Sir Alto Sissimo, Sir Alto Ato Sissimo. That must mean something. To which you have cause triggered simply by just being brilliant, intelligent, capable, discerning, knowledgeable, skillful, naturally entertaining, and productive member of our society. Thank you very much. Whoa, I thought this was going in a different direction altogether. I might have to give this guy a freaking wrench. Holy macaroni, what a compliment. Sounds a lot like the old Scott Del Fuego. To which you have, okay, so let's just read this. Mr. Ato Sissimo, Mr. Fazio. This is Mr. Battaglia's personal consigliere. Regretfully, I am required by law to inform you that my client, Mr. Battaglia, is suffering from a variety of rare mental disorders, to which you have caused triggered simply by just being brilliant, intelligent, capable, discerning, knowledgeable, skillful, naturally entertaining, and productive member of our society. I anticipate your bewilderment, disbelief to this utterly ridiculous, nitwitted, and asinine claim. Nevertheless, pursuant to the fact that my client and I will be seeking monetary compensation to the damages you have caused to my client to the full extent allowed by the Philippines law. Oh, God. And maybe I'm not going to give him a wrench. So, well, thank you very much, Alto Sissimo. I watched long enough. Oh, Jack is a little bit upset. Why don't you go have lunch at the Hen? I watched long enough. Oh, I don't want to say that. Yeah, well, Jack always said he was a big on tools. Maybe he got that from his wife. Oh, Jack, that's a bad subject. You know that. You know that. Too early to lose a wrench. So, Ato, if you can talk to your client and ask your client for forgiveness. Oh, yeah. And also ask your client to stop contacting my friends. That would help a little bit. But that's not going to work out well for your client. So my countersuit will be because your client is harassing other people and sending messages to my friends from as far back as the 1980s. As soon as we can prove via some URLs or emails that it is in fact your client, the countersuit will go in for contacting people and asking those people to testify against me as to my mental acuity or mental attributes. I don't understand. You're not going to get me in a position from, just take, for instance, the little douchebag, the half a man, the sissy boy in Subic Bay. Take that guy, for instance, right? He's talking about putting, I don't know, maybe for a mental incompetence hearing or something like that. What do you think they're going to do when they look at my my accomplishments in life? Not where I live now, because according to that little man, half a man in Subic Bay, the little sissy boy, little girly boy, I'm broke. Even though I just explained to you that what I had up on the screen was $2,000 for the lift. I didn't talk to you about the diesel cement mixer. I found one. I found one of those. A diesel, an 8-horsepower diesel cement mixer. Actually, I could actually go there today and look at it. And it takes a day to prep the machine. But if it when it comes out of the crate, it's in a crate. When it comes out of the crate, I'm getting off track here. They took one out of the crate. The men that work at the factory and the showroom. I don't know how they did it, but they took one out of the crate, and that's the one that's in the yard with the flat tire, and it doesn't work. Let's put it like let me put it here a little. Let me put it, the one that they have that I saw as a display yesterday. That it doesn't work. So I can go back to that yard, which is back in the city, and I can go look at that today. And if I want it, the owner, who I know well, said it takes a day to set it up. So before you come, told me what deposit to bring. Before you come, give us a day. He doesn't require a deposit from me. Normally he would. He knows me. So he said, I'll set it up for you. You don't have to come into the city. I said, no. We're going to, you and your men, no, not him. He doesn't do this work, but your men will uncrate it. I will prepare the machine. I saw what they did to prepare the other machine in your working yard. And he said, fair enough. They destroyed his brand new machine. And it's diesel, not gasoline. So it's going to cost half the price to run the machine. There is a problem with that machine. It's white. Putti, P-U-T-I, in Versailles is white. So far, that's the only problem I see with the machine itself. The operation of the machine is pretty standard for a one-bag mixer. It needs to be greased up. That's one of the things that has to be done. The tires have to be put on and inflated. It comes in a crate. So so that's $2,000 to the little douchebag in Subic Bay. That's $2,000 for the lift. Another $1,000, $1,200 for the mixer. That's $3,200. The rebar bender is $4,000. That's $7,200. What's coming with the rebar bender? Yeah. I gotta look that up. I got it right here. Vibrator. Okay, let's look this. I don't want to put the name of the company. I don't want you people calling up and haranguing. I know you think I'm kidding about a lot of this shit, but one of these mofos did in fact get in touch with, what the hell is going on here? Look at this. Look at this. Look what this says. It says vibrator concrete video, yeah? Vibrator concrete video, and it's showing you the rebar bender. Well, I just got this email in. So let's start it from the beginning. I might as well show you what the rebar bender looks like. This is the bender I'm buying. Okay, this is adjustments. But look at here. It says vibrator concrete bender. This is a rebar bender. It's not a vibrator. Let's skip ahead. Set it. It's all simple shit. And now you got rebar like that. And watch what happens. In 1 second. Watch. 1001, 1000. And it's done. I'll go back. Watch this. When it starts. 1001, 1002. And it bends 3 inches of steel, 180 degrees in 2 seconds. Watch this. 1001, 1002. Do you know how long it will take 2 men or 3 men or 4 men to do that? It could take them 20 minutes. And every day, every time they have to move from one location to another, they have to set up, if there's no tree, they have to set up a concrete block or work off a machine. This is the guy changing. Now, this is 1 inch and a quarter bar. This is 5 bar, 10 bar. Watch. 1001. I'll show it to you again. Watch this. Watch this. Watch this. Boom. 1001. That's a 90-degree bend. You can make it 89 degrees, 87 degrees. And now when you do this, watch. 1001, 1002, 1003, 1004. You cannot do that with pipes without 2 or 3 men. 2 or 3 men, 2 or 3 men, 2 or 3 men, 2 or 3 men. And it might take you an hour to do this bend with a pipe. And when I say an hour, it might take an hour. Watch. We're going to count seconds. 1001, 1002, 1003. That's a number 10 rebar, 1 inch and a quarter. That could take an hour with 4 or 5 men. Could take 2 hours. And you can only do 1. So you could do 5 of those a day. This does 10 an hour. Or 80 a day. Or 100 a day. Depends on how you have your job set up. Let's move on to the next function. The cutter. Okay, to do this cutting on a rebar, this is for the little douchebag in Subic Bay. To do this cutting in rebar with a carborundum blade would take you about, I don't know, by the time you get the saw, plug it in, turn it on, cut it. You have to change the blades every 5 or 6 pieces when they're thick like this. It costs you $4. It costs you about 50 cents per cut with a carborundum blade. And that's exactly what they charge in the city to cut a piece of rebar, 50 pesos, 50 cents. This does it in 1 second. Ready? 1001, 1002. Done. Finished. That's a number. That looked like a 6 bar. Not a 6, an 8 bar. Now we're going to go for 1 inch and an 8 or no? Those are what are called dies, D-I-E, and they're dies and rollers. Then you adjust those. This pin here, the shiny pin, is the CG, Charlie Golf. That's the center of gravity. When you want to pick this machine up, it weighs 775 pounds. You put a hook on this eyelet. This is called an eye. And you put a hook on here or a sling or cable, and you just pick this up, and the machine lifts up relatively level, horizontal. not so much level, but horizontal for sure. And that's your center of gravity. It doesn't like flip over to one side. And these notches here are to adjust it. Just depending on where your dies are is where you would adjust it. Because you have inside the machine, there's a tool rack for the dies. Let's see, is that video over? I think that's all it does. And the guy's just cleaning it up. So that was, but I could show you the vibrator. For the little douchebag in Subic Bay. You got a big mouth, motherfucker, let me tell you. I'll find you a vibrating tool. I think I even have one from their original website. Hold on. They got to have one here. Apparently, they were going to send it to me in the email, and they made a mistake. Well, I needed that video anyway. I don't need it. I know that rebar bender. So I don't know that rebar bender, but I do know they're all the same. It's a rebar bender. They're just they're like cars. They're different colors and different shapes. Let me see if I could find you one of those vibrators in working. I could look it up on YouTube. All right, let's. It's not, but the one I want is 17,000 pesos. It's $400 cheap, because you try to buy one of those here, forget it. They're all used and they're all beat to shit. People leave. It's an amazing thing, the way if you lend out a tool, because that's the kind of tool that you would lend out, and when it comes back, it's got concrete all over it. I mean, not just the vibrating part, but the motor, the cable system to the vibrator. Where can we find one of those? Hold on, I'll find one for you. I know that the little douchebag in in Subic Bay, he would want to see what this vibrator is, because it says the word vibrator. He's very much into that, I'm sure. He's got a big fucking mouth, though. I got to tell you, got to give him credit for one thing. He is one tough motherfucker on the internet. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. And the way he twists shit up is very interesting. How he'll say something really fucking derogatory and then turn it around and make it look like I am the person that said something derogatory. God, he is so good at that. He's so good at that. I'm surprised that he's still doing that. I'm surprised nobody's asked him to stop. Let me find this. Just give me a moment, please. I got to get to gasoline powered. They don't make these diesel engines. So I had one on the screen, the small screen. Actually, I had the download on the screen, and the downloaded the rebar bender, not the vibrating tool. I'll find it. I'll get you one of these. Don't worry. Hang in there. Hang in there for the vibrator. Hang in there, baby. It didn't work in the it didn't work in City Hardware. That's another thing. I had to sign into one of my apps this morning. I waited 40 minutes for a verification code. Apparently, I never signed in, but my verification code took 40 minutes, and then I had to start the live stream. Hold on, vibrator. V-I-B-R-A-T, live V-R-A-T. Hold on, we're getting that. We're close. It took all that time for one window to open up. Wyco, this is it. Here we are. I don't know. I have it right there. All right. There's commercial. Yeah, this is the one right here. Oh, this is a diesel. And I know that they don't have it in. Well, they might be diesel. So it's got a diesel. This one has a diesel engine. Put a little douchebag in Manila. I mean, Subic Bay. You might want to get this for one of your buddies. You and your buddy could play with it. On Valentine's Day is coming up. Let's gonna have to shut the sound off. It's a three horsepower engine. This is a diesel. You put the this is a Beaton. Okay, it's a Beaton. Is a good model too. You put this. This is called a. It's like a Morse cable, Moorse, Morse cable. Not exactly a Morse cable, and you just screw it on, and there's a rod in there with a hind end, and it spins around. And on the other side of the cable it's a round cylinder about 1.25 inches in diameter and 12 inches long. And what happened? All right, they're starting it up. We don't need to see that shit. Okay, so it's got this, looks like a hose, but it's really a cable, a Morse cable. And this one only has a 10-foot. And on the end, it has a vibrator. Inside that metal end there, inside the metal end, let's get it, let's continue. You would think the guy would just grab it and hold it down. Jeez. You would have thought that. And they have to be powerful for what they do. They vibrate tons and tons of concrete. These commercial ones, this is a 5 horsepower one, and it's not going to show you how it works. What a freaking joke. Okay, not going to show you how it works. I'll find one. I'll show you. I'll be showing you. I'll learn you. Now, you could get these that they fit on the end of a drill also. Needle, it's called the needle. This one's called the needle vibrator, but it's a lot bigger than a needle. Let's see if we could get a picture of this. And it goes into the concrete. This is an electric one. This is actually all I really wanted, but no one has these available. And this works with electric, and this is the vibrator part right there. So it's not going to show this working either. You think if they wanted to sell it. Anyway, this part of the tool vibrates. So you got one with a gas engine, and you see that long hose? Now that is 30 inches, so it's 90 plus 90, 180 plus 4 plus 5. Well, that's about 20 feet long, that coil of hose there. Now, they come in all different lengths. So if you're just doing columns, well, there's codes that the douchebag in Subic Bay, he should know about monolithic pores, right, Jack? The douchebag in Subic Bay? Oh, a monolithic pore. Oh, my God. That's a big word for the little douchebag in Subic Bay. There's codes. You can do monolithic pores, but they have to be done in what is called stages. You just can't get like my columns are going up 45 feet, 47 feet. And if you had the form set up, you could do a monolithic pour for the entire 4 stories. But that's not necessary. We're not building, something for the government. The government would have forms and scaffolds. They could do it all at once. But my point is, at that point, they'd get a pump truck and they'd have a stinger. And the pump truck would have a boom on it about 180 feet. So you could go up and over the top of a building. You can't just pour 4 stories of column, no matter what size the column is. That's against the law. It's against the law. It's against codes, and it reduces the strength of the concrete as much as 50%. So what you would have to do is you'd have to stage it at some place at 12 foot. You'd have to have a hole in the form. You pour the concrete, 12 foot of concrete in there, you put your stinger into the form, and you let it vibrate for a little bit. It bangs against the steel, and it bangs against the wood, and it moves the concrete around. It basically gets the concrete to tighten up the air out of the concrete around the steel, which is why you can't put 40 feet one on top of the other. You have to get the air out. It's in stages. You should do it in 6 or 8 foot stages, but it's called a stage, or a lift, L-I-F-T. The little douchebag in Subic Bay, he should know this. Get the information from the little douchebag in Subic Bay. He should know about lifts and stages. I shouldn't have to be telling you people. This little douchebag, he knows everything. He knows everything except how bad he fucked up. He doesn't understand that, because I'm going to keep my promise. So it'll be fun, I assure you. It'll be fun. Well, unless he wants to weasel his fucking way out of it, because if there's anybody on the internet that looks like a fucking weasel, it's the little girly boy in Subic Bay. If there's anybody that looks like a weasel, there's other people that are fucking weasels just like him. Matter of fact, go figure, they're friends. Let me go back to the live stream. I'm getting a little bit off topic here. Jack Thompson, apparently he got, yeah, I got $50. That's about the little fella, the little fucking half a man, the sissy boy, the girlie with the big fucking mouth. I heard you talking all kinds of shit, everything except directions. Everything except directions. But that's okay. I'm not going to make this happen, but being that you put this fucking offer out there, you put this offer out once, twice, 3 times. I might make it one of my, I actually, what I should do is put your fucking offer as my homepage video to let everybody know where you stand on this matter. Asking another man if you can give him $50 to suck your Komasikiyama. You did that. Not once, not twice, but 3 times. The third time, you took advice from somebody that you could probably get away with doing that for $45 because I'm fucking broke, right? Isn't that what you said? And remember the first time you said it, you said, oh shit, I shouldn't have said that. And you kind of laughed because you thought it was funny. The funny thing about that is now I want you to say it to my face. That's the funny part. That'll be the real funny part. The reaction on my face after I hear you say that shit to me face to face. And of course you have to have the $50 too, right? You did say you're going to come to Bahal and offer Fazio $50 to suck my Komasikiyama. So you have to come to Bahal. Finding me will be no problem at all. And then you have to have the $50. And then we'll see how that works out. I guarantee, but bring a camera with you, at least it'll be a fucking Kodak moment for sure. So, Jack Thompson says, Jack Thompson, let's go here. Well, I'm missing a lot of comments. Okay, I found my spot. Harriet, that's bang on comments. No pun intended, Harriet. Jack, I don't know why I don't picture you as kicking the type of person to kick pick your animals. So and then again, I never figured you was part of the Black Power movement either. Monetary, ha ha ha, it says Harry. Too early to lose the wrench, baby. Alto is a bit of long-winded, says Jack, and sexy. Oh, God. Alto, Ato, Sissimo. My client's future well-being is at stake, and time is of the essence. Oh, my God. Your client has a deadline to be someplace, is what you're saying. Either you compensate Mr. Battaglia with the amount of 25 million fucking pesos. Damn. I could build 2 hotels with that many pesos. Or we will be forced to proceed with the filing of a lawsuit. I welcome it. I welcome it. I especially welcome that little half a man sissy boy douchebag in Subic Bay. I welcome him. I welcome the fact that he's putting, I have your personal information and I'm reporting you to the Bureau of Immigration. Go ahead. They watch my videos, asshole. I haven't been in an immigration office yet anywhere that they didn't know who I was when I walked through the door. And nobody's ever responded in anything other than, hey, how you doing? Even yesterday. Oh, I got to tell you a story before I go on with the comments. Okay, so I'm setting up a commercial account in the Philippines, another one. I have one, but the bank I go into is always crowded. So I go, you'll see this video tomorrow or the next day. You're going to see a very well-dressed security guard for the bank. Nice guy. I don't know him, but I always say hello to him when I walk by that bank, because in the city, the guards are very, very aware of who's walking by. They're guards for banks. They're bank security guards because they're guarding the bank. Okay, so they watch every move everybody makes. But I have business upstairs from that bank. That's where I went and did the research for the workmen's compensation for the men. How much compensation the insurance is for the men. So I've been to that bank before, and they remember me. But not only that, they actually watch my videos, and they know exactly who I am. So I'm on my way into the bank to talk with a representative to set up a commercial account. And one of the things I wanted to do is I had some, being that I was making moves around the city, I have money in that bank, but I wanted to make sure my American credit card worked, one of them. And because I just changed the PIN number on the credit card because I put the wrong, God, freaking working these ATM machines in the Philippines. So you're at the ATM machine, and the ATM machine says, you're going to make a withdrawal with your credit card. It gives you that it's going to cost you $5, and you say yes. Is it okay? Yes. They ask you twice. And then it says, okay, would you like to take your money out of your savings account or current account? CURRENT. And one of the machines I was using, the sun was glaring on the face of the machine about a month and a half ago, 2 months ago. And what happened is I pushed a wrong button. I might have pushed savings instead of current. And this is another thing. Each ATM machine is different. The top one is always savings in sometimes. And the middle one, or the next button down, is current, CURRENT. But not all of them are savings current. So I might have, whatever I pushed button, it knocked my credit card off. So I went back and I tried it the next day, and I just had to call up my bank and reset the PIN number. Because once you make one mistake on your credit card in the Philippines, it shuts it off. It could be, you could enter your PIN number incorrectly just because you can't see the keyboard. Some of the ATM machines, the keys are so worn out, you can't see the numbers on the keyboard. I'm not lying to you. Now, they've been making big upgrades recently on that. But so whatever number, I pushed the wrong number. So yesterday I was testing out my credit card. It works. And as I'm going into the bank, there's this guy, he was laughing. And he was looking at me and laughing. And when he walked through the door, I know he was wanting to say hello. And because he was looking and laughing, and he's like this, his head was shaking. He was a pretty cool guy. And when he got outside, I said, "Hey, how you doing?" He goes, "I know you." He goes, "I know you. You've been doing 5-hour live streams on YouTube recently." I said, "Yeah." He goes, "I knew eventually I would get to meet you." And we shook hands and we talked for somewhere around 5, 6, 7 minutes. And he talked about where he lived, and I told him where I lived, and we just had a great conversation. So that was just one of 5 people I met in the city yesterday that we had a bunch of laughs. So the little douchebag in Subic Bay, he's going around telling people, everybody that meets me thinks I'm crazy, or he's going to bring me to a psychological board. Dude, what we should do is bring you to a fucking IQ board. See if your IQ even registers in a zone that's above handicapped. You're a fucking idiot. Not only couldn't you read the simple words of my book, you masticated the English language. You don't know what the words mean. You read them out of context, out of syntax, and you didn't even know what the fuck you were reading. And then on top of that, you made as if what I wrote was not possible. And what I wrote is possible. And what I wrote has been written about thousands of times by thousands of different people. But because your IQ doesn't allow you to understand that kind of stuff, because what is it that you've done with your life for the last 40 years or 50 years, whatever it is? What have you done? Apparently, you're not using your brain cells at all. Because not only can't you read, you don't know sentence structure, syntax, or the meanings of simple words. Basically, I'm telling you that they used to call what I would consider your IQ at best handicapped. So, and you critiquing me and sending my information to the Bureau of Immigration, for what? As some people say, for what? They'll laugh at you. And if they don't laugh at you and they take you serious, when I'm done with them, they'll be laughing with me. So do whatever you got to do. You know what you remind me of? Once there was this guy on the internet. He called somebody a fucking weasel. If ever the word weasel has a place for a YouTube vlogging so-called blogger, it would be that person. The new, let's just call you the newest version, the 2021 version of a weasel, because that's what you are, dude. And I still didn't get directions, but I'm waiting for those. You let me know if you want to go ahead and check that thing out like we talked about. Just let me know. there's a lot of people waiting on the answer to that question. A lot of people. It's going to go viral. Promise. Now, Mr. Bud, how the fuck do you say this? Mr. Buttaglia's personal consigliere. I am also obliged by law to create awareness of the fact that we are awaiting the application of approval for said rare mental disorders. Oh, okay, you might be that guy then. Of the Diagnosed of Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders Journalism, the DSM. I remember that book well. Wow, okay, the name of that book is, so Mr. Buttaglia's personal consigliere, as Mr. Buttaglia's personal consigliere, I am also obliged by law to create awareness of the fact that we are waiting for our application of approval for said and rare mental disorders for inclusion in the next revision of the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of the Mental Disorders Journalism, DSM. Oh, so you and your client are going to add to the DSM. Fucking whoop-de-doo. I also got to put my glasses on, says Jack Thompson. His bullshit glasses, I'm sure. There are 3 specific disorders we are applying recognition for. Would you like to know which 3? Of course. Holly Hogue, please. I beg of you, please. Alto, the little fellow will need 3 weeks to answer. The little fellow destroys words made out of common English literature. The little fella, is it fate or faith? You fucking moron, Jack Thompson asks. He did get that wrong, didn't he? He did get those words wrong when he was reading them. He's a fucking idiot. His IQ is that of a fucking idiot. And he's on there critiquing me. And all of the people that are watching, or all of the people that will watch this shit, if you haven't figured out that I've been in construction my entire life and I know nomenclature and construction technique and stuff like that, if you haven't figured it out or just won't admit it, you're a troll. If you haven't figured it out to be the truth, then you're a fucking idiot. But one of those 2 apply to you. Okay, so Jack is talking about a man, so-called man, named Andy Omar. Let's clear this up. On a live stream, and they were degrading me. We had FSV was on there, degrading me. They made some fake, something called the Ladyboy. I don't know if it's real or fake. I'm not going to I wouldn't take the time to go look online for it, but they put my picture on what is called a Ladyboy dating site. Real or implied, I don't know. And Andy Omar, this is the truth. Now, Andy Omar, he said that I'm broke. He said that. He said I'm broke. And that not only don't I have any money, but for $50, Fazio, I could play it back. For $50, Fazio would do anything. And then he embellished. He says, I could probably offer Fazio $50 to suck my dick. That's what Andy Omar said to me. Normally, I don't pay much attention to people on the internet when they say things, but that caught my attention. So if you see this soundtrack of me now he didn't just say it once, and he didn't just say it twice. He said it twice, and then embellished a 3rd time with some troll saying Fazio would probably do it for $45. And then Andy Omar embellished again and said, yeah, you know what? Maybe when I go to Bahal, I'll just find Fazio. And if there's no women around, I'll make Fazio suck my dick for $45. That would be a good trick. And all I did was just offer Andy Omar the opportunity to say that to my face. And or I could go to Subic Bay. I have to buy a lot of equipment up around the Manila area. Maybe he's near some of those equipment warehouses. We could make the day of it. And who knows? We could definitely get a viral video out of it. That's for sure. But he has moved around it, insinuated I'm gay, insinuated that I started the conversation. Other people have insinuated that I'm gay. He has done everything except make the actual physical appointment to make his part of the conversation happen and for me to have my part of the conversation happen. I don't see that happening. I don't understand why. I don't understand why. Fazio's stupid. Fazio's weak. Fazio's a fucking loser. Fazio's broke. Fazio doesn't know anything about construction. Fazio's sick. Fazio's in bad mental health. All of those things, all in one video. And yet, he doesn't want to actually comply to what he originated. He wanted to do so. He wanted to make something happen. And then when I made the opportunity available for him to make it happen, he's avoiding that piece of the subject matter. So if you bring that shit, you and the other little fella, if you bring that shit to whoever you think you're going to bring it to prove something, let's just say to the little piece of shit in Subic Bay, let's just say this. First of all, this is the Philippines, number one. So they don't care about two foreigners arguing with one another. That's true. You've heard that before. But secondly, it's not something you can bring to the authorities as a crime. It's not criminal. You said something that probably was slanderous, but I did not. So if you bring that to the authorities, it's just going to backfire on you. And if you don't think it will, even if let's just say you and your buddy, because I know you got a lot of asshole buddies, even if you and him had an argument on YouTube, and I don't mean asshole in the sense of just a lot of stupid people. I mean low IQ people. Let's say you brought it to the authorities. And let's say that your buddy and you were having some kind of romance or bromance. The authorities don't care about that. Then they wouldn't care about you goofing around about it either. They might even think it was funny. But that guy, the one opportunity that he did have, the one thing I requested multiple times, because he made it so fucking clear, he was coming to Bohol. And when he got to Bohol, if there was no women around, Andy Omar said, let me offer Fazio, let me give Fazio $45 and let him suck my cock. That's what he said. That's what he said. I have it clear as day. And I'm waiting. I'm waiting for directions or waiting for you to tell me you're in Bohol. We'll see how that works out. Gonna make a video. I told you, bring your camera. We'll make a video. Don't worry about being embarrassed or anything like that. You're a fucking tough guy, Andy. I'm afraid of you. Man, when I thought about that, I'm going, oh my God, look at this fucking Andy. He's such a big guy. Tough fuck, the way he talks. He doesn't know a fucking thing about anything, but he knows about everything. God, I need to get some fucking boots so I could shake those bad boys. And that's a different little fella. Little fella, is it spoo or spew? You fucking idiot, says Jack Thompson. That's right. The cock-sucking challenge came from Andy originally. Andrew Steinmetz says, I'm sure his big mouth is useful in real life. Oof. Now there's a fucking mouthful. No pun intended. Andrew Steinman says, I'm sure his big mouth is very useful in real life. And there's a mouthful. Thank you, Andrew. Ato Sissimo. The first of the three, remember, you caused these. Number one, Plunk Squeen Door Dysopia. Diagnosed to follow. You can't be talking about me. I didn't cause that problem. Jollibee Jumbo is in the house, and who you are, cool name. You heard that show. Okay. He knows nothing about construction theory, calling welding soldering. Yeah, the idiot. And this is fucking low IQ. A 40-something-year-old man doesn't know the difference between a soldering gun and an arc welding apparatus making arc welding. Come on. Really? I mean, I can pontificate on a lot of different things, stuff I've never done, just because of things I don't know or shouldn't know about. I have a memory retention that they're different things. Like a jackhammer is a jackhammer. It's not a needle scale. They're different things. You don't call one the other. You might know the name to only one. You say, it looks like Daisy is using a jackhammer, but it doesn't look like that. A jackhammer has looks like a jackhammer. A needle scaler, it doesn't look like a jackhammer, it looks like a needle. So anyway, and by the way, Daisy loved needle scaling, welding. She had certain things in the construction industry that she liked more than others. She also enjoyed when I taught her how to operate the heavy equipment. Ato Sissimo, patent exhibits. Patient exhibits an unreasonable desire to prove he can replace a screen door. Bullshit. Despite having no prior maintenance knowledge or cognitive skills, thus failing miserably at the task on hand. You and I both know what happened that day. He took, he hired his personal driver, and the two of them, they took the door off the hinges and they brought the door to the city instead of going and buying 50 pesos worth of screen or a piece of sheet metal. And they got 3 men in the city, replaced the screen, while the other 2 guys held the door down. So patient exhibits an unreasonable desire to prove he can replace a screen door despite having no prior maintenance knowledge or cognitive skills. That means brain power, thus failing miserably at the task at hand. Now, I want to also make an addition to the patient's inability to do shit for himself. I think that's part of why the anxiety is occurring, because shortly, the possibility exists that the patient will have to do more for himself than he's used to without having assistance. Like now the patient has a personal tricycle driver. He has a personal airplane pilot. And he has a personal, there was something else, personal gardener. Well, that shit's going to be here in the Philippines, and I believe he has a personal tricycle driver, a personal pilot, and a personal gardener. But when he leaves, he might not, he'll have to find new, and sometimes you have to go through 3 or 4 different people from each field. But there's a lot of anxiety because one of the things is you got to find new people to work for you. You got to find, it's hard to find good help. And the second one is living conditions. It's different in America than it was 4 years ago. There's going to be a lot of adjustments, plus the fact that this freaking lockdown, which is destroying the businesses everywhere, could last into the early part of 2022, which is, I'm not happy about that at all. Jollibee Jumbo Dog. He's just as ignorant in his hatred against Michael. That's true. Thank you, Jollibee. Atos Sissimo. Irreparable brain damage is caused if a live. No. We're not going to. I'm not reading that shit. Get that shit out of there. That's fucking mean. That is mean. That salty tears of Betrayal Island. So that scumbag. Oh, and he has perpetrated the scumbaggery. He's still doing it. He sent my friends, my personal friends from the 1980s, messages on Facebook to contact him on that dusty fucking island so that he could get them on a three-way Skype or Facebook call. I don't know, whatever they're using. He contacted them using Facebook. And he contacted them using Facebook. And it's okay for him to do that. It's okay for him to contact Barry Jordan's ex-girlfriend, Barry Jordan's mother, so-and-so, and so-and-so, and so-and-so's sister. It's okay for him to do all of that shit, but just fucking mention the fact that he lives on a dusty island. Oh my God, you're talking about me. I can't, because there is mental problems. There's no doubt about that. And that's why he lives on that remote island. And the guy at the bank yesterday, he made mention of the Dusty Island guy. He actually, the guy in the bank, I'm glad I didn't make a video of that guy. He made mention, I won't say what he said, but he made mention about these people on YouTube, that how fucked up they are. We'll just leave it at that. So the salty tears of Bantayan Island, that scumbag on that remote island, says salty tears, away from everyone, he can insult, berate, taunt from behind his keyboard, is betting on a lot of people's good temperaments and even tempers. Next paragraph from Salty Tears of Bantayan Island. Come on. Who offers up sucking fantasies unless they're closet pillow biters? And the answer is Andy, LOL. See you tomorrow and you won't even know. Wow, that was a mouthful. No pun intended. So yeah, other men that stopped to talk to me yesterday were the two security guards. Okay, I don't want to tell you how this works, but there's security guards that work for, like they have companies that go and collect money or drop off money. And those two security, I see them, I've been seeing the same two guys for years, and they watch my videos. They stop to say hello and give fist bumps. We had fun. I had fun yesterday. And I got everything I wanted done in one day. And then I read this email that I have. The 3 mental disorders. Okay. Oh, I did miss those. Thank you. Oh boy, I missed a lot of comments. I'll get to all those comments. Wow, this thing jumped down. Oh, yeah, yeah, you're right. Flywood's one, my friend. Thank you for stopping by. I like Flywood's one. I always like Flywood one. All right, so I'm back up here. Okay, I'll just start again. Patient exhibits an unreasonable desire to prove he can replace the screen door despite having no prior maintenance knowledge or cognitive skills. That means he's a fucking idiot. Why would he believe he can fix a screen door? Thus failing miserably at the task on hand. Jolly B jumping dog. He's just as ignorant, hated against Michael. That's true. Irreparable brain damage, says Alto Sissimo, is caused if their live-in partners hires a 10-year-old to perform the screen door replacement and gives the patient a disgusted look. Oh my God. So what you're saying, Alto, is that your patient is upset because a 10-year-old boy had the ability to fix a screen door. And when I was 10, I certainly had that ability. So I know that's true. Because we had those old screen doors in the back of the house, and my dog, Duke, used to pour his way through it. And every so often we'd have to fix the screen. And my dad had the screen rolled up in the rafters in the basement, and we would just roll out a piece of screen and put it in the door. So I had the ability to do that from an early age. So irreparable brain damage is caused if their live-in partner hires a 10-year-old to perform the screen door replacement and gives the patient a disgusted look, questioning if she made the correct choice when choosing her mate. Long-term effects, if not treated immediately, mate will never marry patient, and patient will dislike children forever. I'm losing you there, but I'll just keep reading. The rat is from AC, not Subic. Oh, what does AC mean? I forget. I know that's the name of the city. I don't remember the name of it. Fuck it, we'll just call him the piece of shit from Subic Bay. That's all right. That works for me. Shall I continue with number 2, Mr. Fazio? Yes, of course. Jolly Big Jumbo Dog says Hispanic rat boy is scared to meet Mike. Well, I don't know. Maybe he's playing coy. Maybe I don't know that he's scared. Just because he looks like he's scared and he acts like he's scared and he's left out the pertinent information to make all this shit happen, doesn't mean he's really scared. It just means he knows he's got a big fucking mouth, nothing to back it up. But he might not be scared. Flywoods. Jack Thompson, the little fella always speaks the truth. The truth. Back the fucking truck up, says Jack. That's one of these things. Back the fucking truck up. Are you saying that you pushed the wrong number and you got the wrong baby? We're not going there. We're not going there. We're not going there. I know where you're going. Jolly B Jumbo Dog. He's too dumb to understand. He's illiterate. Only intelligent people can understand the book. The most intelligent people that I know have looked at my book. None of them think it's plagiarized. Yeah, that's another thing. Accusing me of plagiarizing that information. Why is it that I could not have been the discoverer of that information? That's because the man, the fucking half a man, the little boy, the girl in a man's body, the little boy, the half a girly boy, the sissy boy, the guy with the big fucking mouth and nothing to back it up, is too stupid to understand that there are people like me in this world that have multiple skill sets and have actually made real discoveries, because he is another unaccomplished man. Just because he has a pension And just because he has a steady income doesn't make him a smart person at all. Just makes him fucking arrogant. But, Jack, what triggers you to betray Mr. Fazio? That's all right. Me and Jack, we have a series of shit that we're gonna pull out on each other. We're gonna chastise each other on the internet big time shortly. Jack should be here around 3:00. Jollibee Jumbo Dog. He was in the Army. What do you expect? That's true. Jack Thompson, love for Harriet. Hi, Harriet. Have a jumbo dog. Harriet likes those giant Jollibee Jumbo Dogs, I heard. Brother Michael will get to the comments long after I'm asleep. Take care of the dog like your pet, Harriet. Jack Thompson. Jack, have more patience, please. I like petting and pegging. I'm not real sure what pegging is. Jollibee Jumbo Dog. I have heard stories about that. I would not accuse somebody of that. Well, I wouldn't accuse him of it. But I've heard those stories. The second of the three reasons is, remember, I caused these. Common sense of phobia, diagnosed to follow. There is no fucking common sense on these people. In the third person, yeah, I got that Jollibee Jumbo Dog. That ain't gonna fucking work when he hands me that $50 and says, come on. And I hope everybody on fucking YouTube uses that soundbite. Because if it gets to the point where I have to, I'll just take that 15-second excerpt and put it on my homepage, which would be the first time first time in a long time I've changed my homepage from anything from the dollar bill, just to clear things up. Patient exhibits a profound fear using atosasima. Patient exhibits a profound fear using of his brain for fear it may deteriorate. Okay. Patient exhibits Patient exhibits a profound fear for using of his brain for fear it may deteriorate. Speaks in innocent, nonsensical manner to avoid thought processes. I think he avoids thought processes and speaks in an innocent manner because he's a fucking idiot. Patient is convinced his or her brain is a collector's item and will never be put it to use. Patient is convinced his or her brain is a collector's item and will never be put to use. They're saving the brain cells. Good one. Long-term effects, if not treated immediately, patient can become a real-life vegetable. Well, we're into the long-term stagial effects. We're way past the larval effects of this. Doing well, marvelous Mark, King of the Dark. My life. What happened in that container shack when Daisy's mother came to visit the couple? Prunk chair made satire. See, this is the guy, my life. Well, maybe I met my life yesterday in the mall and we shook hands and he said hello and we laughed and smiled. Because I know goddamn well I don't remember anybody mentioning Daisy or her mother in a negative intonation. That I would have remembered. Last but not least, number 3. The Pepita derangement syndrome diagnosed to follow. Oh, God. We're out of bounds here. Patient confuses mascot with human child. Fails to address its medical issues while accusing local veterinarian of incompetency. That guy's sense of style, he brought that to the panel's attention last week, and somebody went fucking nuts. So we'll just make like you didn't say that and move on to the next sentence here. Uh-oh, it's getting worse. Upon mascot's ultimate death, the patient grieves and cries like a toddler for a week, thus rupturing his sinus cavities. Oh, we don't know that. I mean, we don't know that that was the reason for that. I mean, you could get sick. You are definitely projecting. You are projecting from your inner being. You don't like this guy at all. Long-term effects, if not treated immediately, oh God. The long-term, you don't stop. Long-term effects, if not treated immediately. Patient can become increasingly belligerent to anyone that does not empathize with his loss. Now, that fucking happened. That happened. He went ape shit on my friend Gary Kennedy. He went ape shit on my friend Roberto. He went ape shit on me. He went ape shit on sense of style. And he lost his fucking mind completely on a very highly decorated Air Ranger or paratrooper Air Ranger named Ed Lippett, who I wouldn't do that. Not. I like Ed, and I wouldn't do that to Ed. But if someone told me they were a paratrooper or an Air Ranger in Vietnam, jumping out of helicopters and going off on missions, I wouldn't piss that guy off. Now, maybe I have pissed off somebody like that, but not intentionally. But to make fun of that man in front of his wife, imagine if Ed would have done that to him in front of his not wife. I think he said he's not married. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he said that. But so you're not allowed to, nobody's allowed to say anything about that. But he made a regular live stream where he cleared the air on that. So I guess I could say that without stirring up the pot so much. But this guy, Ato Sisima, boy, he's borderlining now. He's borderline. Even my patience is wearing thin with this guy. Long-term effects, if not treated immediately. The patient can become increasingly belligerent. Oh, yeah. And on that thing about not having a wife, and I mean, I'm no longer friends with Daisy, and yet, from what I understand, about a year or so ago, that guy contacted Miss Daisy May about, was it a year or so ago, if I remember correctly? So it's okay for him to contact anybody he wants to contact. In fact, if I was to open up my Skype account, and it's in a screenshot, I actually have those screenshots available. But if I open up Skype, first of all, I have to find them. Second of all, if I open up Skype, it might destroy the live stream link. But yeah, about a year or so ago, that guy who you're not allowed to go talk to anybody from his past. Not allowed. Not fucking no. That's against the fucking law. That guy contacted Miss Daisy May about a year ago and wanted her. I don't remember what it was. Something about I didn't compensate her for her injury when she got burned with the welding arc. She got infected. It was a burn, but it got infected. And then he posted shit that she said on a Facebook page. This is all from memory. He went to her Facebook page and harassed her on the Facebook page and saw somewhere, not necessarily direct answer to his question, but don't worry, I'll be compensated when the hotel is built. And that's true. I'm building a hotel, and she was going to build it with me, and she was compensated in real life with anything she ever wanted or needed, more so than most other women in the Philippines were compensated. But Daisy didn't require much. But there are men in the Philippines that can give their girlfriends anything. I cannot. But then whenever Daisy really wanted something, I made the funds available. The 11,000 pesos for the karaoke machine. Some of my subscribers donated for Zumba outfits, and some of my subscribers donated money for jewelry, and when she needed sneakers. But also, each year I sent her to Davao, to her mother's house, and I gave her 35,000 pesos for 30 days, and if she ran out, I sent more. So Daisy was never not compensated for her efforts, and she was going to be my wife. So I don't look at it as you don't pay your wife. You give them what they need. And if they want something and you could give it to them, you give them what they want. But you don't pay your wife monetary funds. Oh, my wife or my girlfriend, she got injured, so I have to give her more money this week. That's what the douchebag mentality is. That's the fucking low IQ, low brow, fucking stupid motherfucker that he is. Not only just to contact Daisy repeatedly and ask her questions, but this stupid motherfucker doesn't get it to not mention Daisy. And still to this day, he mentions Daisy. The fucking Fazio and that Fazio that. I can't fucking wait. I can't fucking wait for the day to come. And it's coming. That you and I get all of this settled. Legally, of course. Legally, of course. We're going to get this straightened out. Maybe when you get back from wherever the fuck it is that you're going, unless the paperwork goes through before that, and then I guess it could be possible that you might have to extend your stay in the Philippines. I mean, I don't know how that works, but I will tell you that contacting Daisy May was a fucking another mistake. Do you not understand how fucked up? Do you not understand how much she doesn't like you? And so, even though you did it a year and a half ago or a year ago, whenever it was, still not allowed to do that. And there's nothing stopping Daisy. She fucking always hated you. Remember when she used to go like this and say, Mongoloid? Remember that? Mongoloid? She fucking despises you. She could still file a claim if she wanted to. And you just don't fucking get it. You are one thick motherfucker. And we got to go back to the thing. Yeah, this is a fucking problem, Atos Asimo. Last but not least, number 3, Papita derangement syndrome diagnosed to follow. Patient confuses mascot with human child. That's true. Fails to address its medical issues. That's possible. While accusing local veterinarian of incompetency. I don't know about incompetency, but he was upset. Upon mascot's ultimate death, the patient grieves and cries like a toddler. We didn't see him cry, but it's possible. For a week, thus rupturing his sinus cavities. Now, that could have happened. That could have just been a an allergy. Long-term effects if not treated immediately. Patient can become increasingly belligerent. That happened. More, it should be more so belligerent, more belligerent than normal. Extra belligerent. Give me a fucking patient with a fucking, what was that? Mascot derangement syndrome. And I want to give me a patient with a mascot derangement syndrome and throw in a side order of belligerence to anyone that does not emphasize what is lost. Aito Susima will forever wake up in the middle of the night and cry, Papita, Papita, until he falls back asleep. I don't think he does that. Well, I loved my dog. My dog was a man's dog, and my dog from the day I got it, when it was just 6 weeks old, 5 weeks old, he never left my side. So he was my companion. When he died, I cried a lot. I mean, I had to make the choice to put him down. But I mean, I didn't lose my fucking mind over it. And I didn't expect anybody else to care about my fucking dog. Now we have Salty Tears. That scumbag on a remote island away from everyone he can insult. Yeah, that's probably intentional, to be very far away from the people he insults. Can berate, taunt behind his keyboard, and belittle lots of good temperaments. That scumbag on a remote island away from everyone he can insult, berate, and taunt from behind his keyboard is betting on a lot of people's good temperaments and even good tempers. Yeah, I would say that's true. But notice, one thing that you should notice, Salty Tears. If you remember, a while back, he used to do a lot of restaurant reviews. He doesn't do those anymore. He don't do those anymore. Especially, me, I like to go back to the pizzerias and the food establishments that I eat at and, check every 6 or 7 weeks or 7 months or 3 months if the food is still good, if what, blah, blah, blah. And he don't go back to those restaurants he did the reviews for. Those are very fucking professional reasons. Professional that he fucked up the reviews so badly. He fucking he basically decried, what was it? Cockroaches in the restaurant establishments and poor service, and had to wait an hour for somebody to come and hand us the menus, and the pizza was burnt. Holy shit. You don't do that if you expect you're going to eat there again. If you're going to complain about a restaurant, you complain after they bring you your food, and you don't go back there. And that's what happened. I went up and I finished those comments. Ato Sasimo. Graham, Michael, you are not being fair. Not everyone knows or has experiences with tools. That's true. And I don't expect everyone to have experience with tools, because there are lots of people I grew up with and I'm perfectly good friends. They know nothing about tools, but they also don't critique me. The people that I grew up with that didn't work with tools, like Jimmy, we'll just call him Jimmy Guitar, right? Jimmy was one of my friends since, Jimmy's sister, Kathy, is closer to my age, but she's 2 years older than me. But Jimmy's dad and my dad grew up together since they were born, within a block of each other. All right. Jimmy doesn't know a fucking thing about tools. Jimmy would come to my job and say, Mike, I'm going to hang out and watch your work. I'd say, yeah, okay. And then I talked to him on Facebook about 3 or 4 years ago. He goes, are you still working? I said, yeah, sometimes I do some work here and there. And he asked me what I was doing. He goes, "You'll never stop." So I asked him, and he became a guitarist in a band, and he was okay. That's how he made a living. Played wedding gigs and bar mitzvahs and parties, 4th of July, Christmas parties. He didn't know nothing about, but he never fucking said, Mike, critique me for tools. So Graham, you're right. A lot of people don't know about tools. And Graham says, I know it's hard to believe, but some guys can't change a tire, let alone understand the difference between a jack axe and a jackhammer. That's probably true. Even I'm not familiar with the term jackaxe. I'm going to look that up. A jackaxe. I would imagine it's something a jack uses, but I don't know for sure. I'm waiting. Jackaxe. Come on, baby. And then I think I'm going to get ready to wrap this up. I got to. Holy shit. How did that get there? Where's the jackaxe? Where the hell did that go? Hold on. This is supposed to be just that one comment. A jackaxe. Jack. A jackaxe. Jackaxe. Watch, I'll put it up in the top. I'll paste it. Jackaxe. Jack, you've been fucking with Google. Oh.